Hey guys, welcome into tonight's live. Sorry I'm running a little bit late. I was typing as fast as I could type. So, welcome on in. And it looks like we got a good crowd, so that's nice. Looks like we got a good crowd coming in. And then I had Nancy hidden, so when I sat down, I turned my camera on. I was like, "Oh wait," because I usually will put her behind the door so that my dog isn't scared throughout the day. Because if not, she will be. And if you missed our live last night, we just talked for like an hour. If you are bored, you could always listen to that from last night. We just talked about a little bit of everything. It is red. It's very red, my mic cover. Warflare Mike said, my cover is a bit red. Very red for the holidays. Just for the holidays. I told Vincent today, I was like, this is really red. He's like, it's sharp. I'm like, it's red. I do love red, but that's real red. So, hey, Nikki, welcome in. I did hear about that, Aries. There's kids can't even go to school anymore without being shot at or stabbed or something, it's just bad. 13 years on the YouTube streets, that's a long time, Yankee Kyle. That's a long time to be on the YouTube streets. Well, if this is your first time joining us for a live, I'm Tanya or TitaniumBuilt. You can call me either or. Welcome to the channel. And welcome back to all you returning savages that are here. You guys came back to see me for an extra night. I love that. So if you don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button, we'll go ahead and we'll get into tonight's live because I got a lot to show you. If you'd like to become a member of our channel, I'll put the channel link into the chat and I'll do it throughout the live if you'd like to become a member. We love to have you and it supports the channel and the creator. So, but tomorrow I do have a big show prepared for Chelsea Grimm. But tonight we're going to be covering Gabby Petito and the new stuff that's coming out in her case, the never-ending saga that I feel like is her case. It's so sad. The poor girl. I feel like it's crazy how one person has made such an impact over, by their passing, but it sucks because, you can tell that she was a beautiful person. And, it was one of those cases that got me. I was all into it and wanted to know every little piece of detail. So Nancy's pretty mad. Nancy's pretty upset tonight. So she's in rare form. She's not really in rare form when I say that. So, but I went through some articles. So what I did today was I went through articles and like different like timelines and gathered up a good timeline for you guys. So it'll cover like the whole case. It's not as long as my normal timelines are, but it's pretty long. It's not that long. It's like 16 little slides. So, but I figured we could get started with that because it has been a couple years since this case is started and it's still going on now. The parents, are in their, they have a lawsuit and they should. And now we're learning new details. So it's very crazy. I stole Rudolph's nose. I did. I hope you had a good birthday, Isabel. And I'm going to pull this up. Thank you, Yankee Kyle. Appreciate that. Well, they made it into a Lifetime movie. They did. They made it into a Lifetime movie. Remember, they made this into a Lifetime movie so fast. It was like ungodly. It was like very poor taste. It's almost like if, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, but it's almost as if if the Idaho 4, that case, if it were to have a movie right now, it was literally within I don't even know if they had have they even found Brian Laundrie when they made that movie? I don't know. They made it very fast, but I remember seeing it and I was so mad about it. I don't know why this is okay. Oh, it's presenting to you guys the right way. So, we'll go through the timeline. That's what I thought we would do. I'll go through the timeline with you guys and then that'll refresh our memory on, everything that kind of took place. And then we will listen to Nancy Grace. And then I'll actually give you the updates and then we'll listen to Nancy give her update. I also was reading through the letter that the Brian Laundrie notebook letter again that was in the wet bag. And if you guys haven't had a chance to read it, I can read it to you guys if you guys want me to. Just let me know. And then whenever we get close to that time, I'll ask you again. Be Real said, yeah, they knew it'd be a huge hit. I wonder, did anyone ever see it? Did anyone watch the movie? I want to see it now that, it's out. I know that I knew it was out there, but I didn't want to watch it at the time, but now I kind of want to see it because I saw the thumbnail and like, it just looks like a Lifetime movie. So, this is the timeline of events. And so July 2021, and sorry that some of the writing is kind of like small. So I'll read it to you. I'm sorry, guys. But Petito, and I'm going to call everybody by their last name. So that way it, I don't know, just is more professional, I guess. Petito and Laundrie, and they leave New York for what was supposed to be a 4-month cross-country trip, visiting and camping in national parks. They plan to sleep in their van and document their travels on Instagram and then on YouTube. August 12th, 2021, that's when they had the disorderly conduct stop. A 911 call is placed by someone who reports seeing a confrontation between Gabby and Brian. The caller said he saw Laundrie hit Petito. Police in Moab, Utah are dispatched and pull the van over. We all saw the body cam footage. It is unclear if they knew the details of the 911 call. Police body cam video shows Petito crying and upset. The police report says Petito hit Laundrie, but no arrests were made. The couple is separated for the night. Laundrie checks into a hotel and Petito stays in the van. And I don't know how I feel about that whole situation with the cop. They noticed the marks on her face. I mean, they think they needed better training. I think they needed better training. Hopefully that's what they were getting for that, because I remember I was up in arms. I was like, why is there, and this is whenever I started saying there needs to be like a domestic violence advocate. If you're going to be going out on these calls, you need to have an advocate or someone with you, like, or a case manager, somebody that can like help you. Or if you're dealing with like a mental health crisis, you might need somebody that deals with mental health crisis, like for their job. Like police officers are not trained in these fields like they should be, and I don't know if we should put that much more on them to be trained in that also, because that's an extensive field. Like that's mental health is a lot, but I feel like they need somebody like where they can come in and they could be like a mediator, you know what I mean? And they can talk to the victims, like if it's victims or victim, they can talk to both parties. They can get assessed. I think that they would be able to tell better than a cop would. Hey, Alicia, good morning. How you doing? 7 months. Congratulations. Thank you for being a member for so long. We love you around here. I don't know. I think at the time, maybe not Brian so much, but I think Gabby at the time was probably thinking like, oh, okay, they're just going to separate us. No one's going to go to jail. No one's getting in trouble. I don't think she saw the future, not like that anyway. So August 19th, 2021, that's when the van life picture came out. Petito and Laundrie posted a video on YouTube called Van Life, beginning our van life journey. The images show them laughing and kissing. I think that was the only video that she uploaded to. The only one she got to. August 24th, she was seen, 2021, seen in Salt Lake City. Petito and Laundrie are reportedly seen leaving a hotel in Salt Lake City. Oh, thank you, Isabel, for gifting a membership. Look at that. August 25th, 2021, Gabby's last post. The van is spotted at Grand Teton. I always say it wrong. National Park. This is also the last day a post is made to Petito's Instagram account. So August 25th, last day she posts to Instagram. August 27th, there's that odd text that goes out to her mom. So, Gabby texts her mom, or she receives a text from Gabby, and it says, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." And Stan is Gabby's grandfather, but Gabby never refers to him by his first name. Gabby's mother said it was out of character and it was concerning. So 2 days later, On August 29th, these are the hitchhiker claims. Miranda Baker posted on her TikTok claiming she picked up Brian Laundrie, who was hitchhiking alone. On August 30th, there was another text sent. Petito's mom says she received a text from Gabby's phone. She wouldn't comment on what it said, but according to some reports, it read, "No service in Yosemite." Oh, look at that. You got your member badge, Cheryl. Look at that. Oh, that was sweet. That was sweet of Isabel to do that. And you got the membership. That's so awesome. Where were we at? So on September 1st, that's when Brian returns home. So according to police, Laundrie returns to Northport, Florida, where he lived with Gabby, but he was alone. And that's when, like, do you guys remember the circus that was outside of his parents' house? Like, I mean, the camera crews and the people, it was insanity, which I mean, I think that they deserved every second of it, but it was insanity, you know? It was like, when I came in on the Quentin Simon case, like that was one of my first cases I covered. It was like that for him when there was people hollering and hooting in front of his house. Yeah, Bullhorn Betty and all of her glory. She was there. JLR too. Man, that was before my YouTube days. September 11th, that's when Gabby is reported missing. Gabby's mother files a missing persons report with the Suffolk County, New York Police Department after not hearing from her since late August. September 13th, Laundrie's parents tell police Brian left the family home for a hike in the Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County, Florida. September 14th, that's when Brian Laundrie's family issues a statement through their lawyer saying they intend to remain in the background while the search for Gabby is underway. Man, they're so shady. Petito's family issues a statement accusing Laundrie of refusing to tell them where he last saw Gabby. I couldn't even imagine being her parents are beyond amazing. Like they work together, no questions asked. Do you know what I mean? Like their daughter was missing. They're both married with other spouses now. All four of them come together. Like at one point in the beginning of it, you couldn't tell me who was her parents and who was her step parents because I didn't know, because they all acted just as concerned for her. It was terrible. And then, everyone's like, "Where's Brian?" when he was hiding in his parents' home. And his parents are like, "We don't know. Haven't seen him." What? I don't know. I mean, I don't have kids, so I can't say what I would do, but I'll tell you what I would do without kids. As a person, if I ever did have kids, I would be like, you need to turn yourself in. What did you do? Like as soon as they would come home without their fiance, where is she? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You know what I mean? Like there would be a big conversation there. You wouldn't say, "Oh, okay, you don't know where she's at. Well, we're just going to stick in the back too. We're just going to stick back here with you." It's just so sad. So September 15th, that's when Norfolk police say that Laundrie is refusing to cooperate and name him as a person of interest. September 16th, Northport police hold a press conference. Gabby's father asked everyone to help find his daughter. September 18th, that's when they search for Brian. The search for Laundrie begins in the 24,000-acre Carlton Reserve. His parents say that that's where he was headed the last time they saw him. Now they found him within like 20, 30 minutes. His parents did. They either knew where he was or they need to work for the FBI or something, because that's some next level stuff. 24,000 acres. That's like so big, such a vast area. Authorities say they found remains September 19th around Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming, where the van was previously spotted. I already said that. Sorry. I think I did. Sorry. September 20th. the FBI raid. Police execute a search warrant on Laundrie's home, seizing his car and a hard drive that may contain evidence that a felony has been committed. September 21st, 2021, Gabby is identified. A coroner confirms that the remains found in Wyoming is Gabby Petito and determined the initial manner of death is homicide. The FBI announced that they are taking over the criminal investigation, and authorities continue to search for Laundrie in the Carlton Reserve. It's just, I don't know. September 23rd, 2021, arrest warrant was issued. So that's like a good, almost a month after. That's a pretty decent amount of time. I feel like after a crime I think that everyone knew that she wasn't coming home, but I mean, I'm surprised they didn't charge him sooner. Yeah, his parents knew. Yeah. Stupid parents. Like, I mean, I know that I don't know though. Like, I don't know how to explain it because like, I'm not a parent. So I understand that there's probably going to be parents that are ride or die for their kid and their kid could do no wrong. And I know there's going to be parents that are going to be like, hey, buddy, no, you better get to, the police station. She lived with them. It wasn't like she was just like some girlfriend that was just a couple weeks in. It don't even matter. I'm just saying, she lived with them at one point. Like they were fiancé, like they were going to get married. They were living together in a van. You got to have love to be living in a van with someone. Apparently. Yeah. She could have done so much better. I wish she could have saw that. So a federal court in Wyoming issues an arrest warrant for Brian Laundrie. He's charged with the unauthorized use of a debit card to make unauthorized withdrawals worth more than $1,000 during the time Petito went missing. That's when he was using her debit card. September 26th, over 1,000 people attended a public memorial service for Petito at a Long Island, New York funeral home. The service was also streamed online, and I watched it. It was very sad. I watched a little bit of it. I don't know how I feel about watching live funerals. It's not my thing. It's just not my thing. I don't know. It's almost like, is it to anybody else? It's kind of weird to see somebody like on a live. I don't know. Like, it's almost like taking pictures at a funeral. I don't know. You just don't kind of do it. It's kind of like bad etiquette or something. Not saying that they are bad for doing it. I think that they should have done it because she had 1 billion people follow or like view her video on TikTok alone. I mean, that's a different story. Like when you're just like me, I would just feel so weird having people watching me. No, I'm not like I would know though. But they did. They had 1,000 people attend that. That's crazy. I didn't know how many people went, but I remember seeing the service online. It might have been through YouTube or something, maybe. So then September 28th, Petito's family and their attorney thanked law enforcement on Tuesday and urged Laundrie to turn himself into authorities. October 6, 2021, Laundrie's travels in August. So Brian Laundrie flew cross country to visit his parents' home in Florida during his trip with Gabby Petito, according to the Laundrie family lawyer, Steve Bertinoli. We already know that guy tells a bunch of lies. The attorney says Laundrie flew home. This is when it all starts, going downhill for them. It says on August 17th and returned to Utah on August 23rd, 4 days before Petito was last seen. Laundrie flew to Florida to get some supplies and close a storage unit to save money. He says Laundrie and Petito were thinking about extending their trip. Hey, Otto. And I saw your comment. The cops did fail her. Otto, you're right. I think they should be charged for accessory after the fact. They should be charged with something. And I think any of the charges that you just said are good. I just don't understand why they're not. I really don't. Even if they get sued, they can just file bankruptcy or whatever. And just because you sue somebody doesn't mean really, what are they going to do? Take their house, I guess? They could eventually. I don't even know what they're thinking at this point. They should have just told what they knew from the beginning. They should have just, yeah. So then on So that was the 6th. And then on the 12th of October, 2021, that's when the coroner comes out and says that she died by strangulation. Dr. Brent Blue said the manner of death is still considered a homicide, backing initial autopsy results that were released last month. Petito's body was outside for 3 to 4 weeks before it was discovered. He declined to comment on whether Petito is believed to have died in the location she was found or whether her body was buried. And I remember the cops, didn't they like identify her pretty fast? Now I'm wondering how they did that. Now that I'm thinking back on it, didn't they? Yeah, we're gonna go to that actually. Yeah, they knew and they didn't even care. Like they just I wonder what they were saying to each other at night when they were going to bed. Like, honey, our kid's a unaliver and our soon-to-be daughter-in-law is unalived out there somewhere. Like, we know she's probably in a national forest, maybe, because that's where they were. That's where they had been. Like, but then you got from here to, across the country. Okay, Nikki. Yeah, I was just wondering how much you would decompose. Maybe she had some sort of jewelry on too. I'm thinking, like, I wear this necklace every day. I literally buy it all the time because like it'll just like wear out after like 6 months of wearing it. Instead of getting a real one, I'm gonna get a real one. This one isn't real. It's just from like a boutique. Her tattoo and backpack. Thank you, Alpine. I couldn't remember. Okay. I remember I was like, when this case happened, that's when I was like, I needed more information than what the news was giving me. It was one of those cases. And it was before I really knew about YouTube. That's what I think brought me into YouTube. Started watching YouTube. The FBI confirms that authorities have found what appears to be human remains at the site where they were searching for Brian Laundrie. Special Agent Michael McPherson says authorities found personal items nearby, including a backpack and notebook that they believe belonged to Laundrie. The suspected human remains were found in an area previously underwater, the FBI said. Authorities are investigating whether the remains belong to Brian Laundrie. And that's when, that was October 20th. That's when they found the dry pack. Apparently he wanted that note to be found. And I think we're getting close to the end. October 21st, 2021, Brian Laundrie's remains are identified. So the FBI confirms human remains found a day earlier at the Florida Reserve belonged to Brian Laundrie. That's fast to get like testing back, I guess. November 23rd, 2020. Why did I put 2020? Sorry, 2021. Or I think that's, I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay. Brian Laundrie died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, and his manner of death was suicide. And that's the family attorney. So January 21st, 2022, Brian Laundrie claimed responsibility for Gabby Petito's death in notebooks. So in its final report on the investigation into Gabby Petito's death, the FBI reports that Brian Laundrie claimed responsibility for his fiance's death in a notebook found near his remains. The FBI in Denver, which led the investigation, says a notebook, a backpack, and a revolver were found near the remains, later identified as Laundrie. In the notebook was Laundrie's written confession, the FBI says. The FBI also confirms that Laundrie had been attempting to deceive law enforcement by giving the impression that Miss Petito was still alive by continuing a text chain between their two phones after she is believed to have died. Like, you're so dirty. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like, oh, it's like one thing when you off somebody, you kill someone. But then when you go, like, then you take their phone and you like start sending, like when they start sending messages to other people and themselves. And it's like, what's going on up there, buddy? What is going on? Too much, I guess. So this is on March 11th, Gabby Petito's family sues Brian Laundrie's parents. I'm so glad they did that. The parents of Gabby Petito claim in a Florida lawsuit that Brian Laundrie told his parents that he killed her before he returned home alone from their ill-fated cross-country road trip in a converted van. The lawsuit filed Thursday in Sarasota County Circuit Court contends that Laundrie told his parents on August 28th that he had killed Petito, 22, his fiancée of about a year at the time. The lawsuit contends that Christopher and Roberta Laundrie concealed that their son had confessed to the murder from investigators and Petito's parents while they searched for Gabby was ongoing. Oh, I went too fast. And then March 30th, that's when they, the Brian Laundrie's parents moved to dismiss lawsuit brought by Gabby Petito's family. Man, I don't even know why they would even try to file to dismiss it. Like, I guess that's their lawyer talking, but bad move, buddy. Brian Laundrie's parents filed to dismiss the lawsuit brought by the family of his late fiancée, calling it baseless and frivolous. Oh man, I would. Can you imagine someone saying that? Like, you lost your child by the hands of their child, and they knew about it, and they're going to call you baseless and frivolous. Oh, see, that's why I don't have kids, y'all, because I would be in prison. We would be in the courtroom. We would start out in the courtroom, and then I would end up in the jail. Get my bail money ready. I'll call and let you know. It's crazy. Exactly. Yep. You are so right, Nikki. Hit the head. Hit it right on the head. Yep. The theory being our son is dead, their daughter is dead. Let's move on. Keep dreaming, babe. Yep. Yep. That's exactly what it is. And I think before the official body was found, like Brian's body was found, I think that they knew. I think that they knew that that's what was going on. I think they came with some sort of peace. They got some sort of peace. They talked or whatever they got. Maybe they didn't, maybe it was still crazy and emotional, but at least they got to see their kid before, he went and unalived himself. And I think that's what it is. Yeah, Larson, me too in a heartbeat. Yeah, I would be. I would be in prison, jail. They would. I mean, I would be next level crazy if I had a kid. Because and that's why I respect the Petito family so much. But I mean, the whole clan, like they've got different names. I can't remember the other last name, but since they're remarried, but they really came together as like a little village for this girl, and look at what Brian's family did. Like, he went off and offed himself, and the end. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a story. It's not a story. Gabby's legacy is going to live on in all of these foundations that her parents are setting up, and people that just care about her. So it says here, Laundrie was found dead in a Florida nature reserve last fall, several weeks after Gabby Petito's body was discovered in a Wyoming national park, where the couple had been vacationing. It's sad because you're supposed to start out and have a new life, and you're visiting all these beautiful places, and this happens. It's so sad. Petito's family alleges that Laundrie told his parents, Christopher and Roberta Laundrie, that he had killed Petito before he returned home alone from their ill-fated cross-country trip, and that the couple concealed their son's alleged confession from the Petito family and authorities. And then on June 30th, the Florida judge denied the motion to dismiss the lawsuit, was allowed to move forward. And then I don't know why it's like kind of out of order there. I think no, it's not. And then the 24th, details of Laundrie's notebook was released. And that's when the attorney releases images of the pages of the notebook of his writing. Yeah, she's a small little girl. She was so small. Yeah. I know, the burn after reading, and isn't that weird? So have you guys heard the confession letter, like Brian's confession letter? If you've heard it, put a 1 in the chat. If you haven't heard it, put a 2 in the chat. And then if you guys haven't heard it, I could always read it. I'm going to grab my drink really quick. I know the apple didn't fall far from the family tree, did it? Oh my Lordy, no, it didn't. It's crazy too. Like his family, man, they are all the same. They all are the same. Okay, we can read it. Warfare said one, but I don't mind a recap. Okay, we can read it. Seems like we have a lot of twos in the chat because I don't know what happened with this case, but I don't remember like reading this whole letter before. I remember hearing like parts of it, but like today was the first time I read the whole thing and I was like, "Whoa." I was like, "Okay, now." So yeah, I'll read it. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. Let me put my little glasses on while I'm doing that. Hopefully you guys are all having a great day. No, so not the one from Mom to Brian, the one that from Brian's notebook, sorry. The one from Brian's notebook, yeah. But if there is one, I could read that one too. Yeah, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. It really didn't. It really didn't in this case. And I just wonder what his parents are saying to each other. Like, I want to know I want to be a fly on that bedroom wall. And even though I don't, flies have eyes. Yeah, they do. I just want to hear what's going on. I want to know the pillow talk at night. When you're with your significant other and you tell them everything, you know what I'm saying? When they knew about Gabby being deceased, like she's dead out there, and their son is hiding out, were they going in their room at night, just going to bed, like, good night, honey? Not going like, you know what I mean? I would be like, I would shut the door. I would be going, what are we going to do? How are we going to get the police here? Police. Or I don't even know. I don't know if I would trust my kid if they told me that they unalive somebody. Do you know what I mean? For me to actually like not be scared of them. And this is actually nice because there's a transcript. So I'll show you the letter first. This is all transcribed though up here. These are the letters. Oh, thank God I don't have to go through the letters though, because I don't think I could read these. But these are the letters here, and then the note, like they have it out here. So I got this from WFLA. But yeah, this is like the whole, I think it was like 8 pages or something. Yeah. And it was addressed to her. Can you imagine right now? I mean, I am so curious about people, the way they think. Hey, Mark, how are you? And welcome in, everybody. And don't forget, tomorrow we're going to have a case update on Chelsea Grimm. So if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel and have your notifications on, make sure you do. I should be on by 8:15 p.m. Hopefully I can come on maybe a little earlier. I've been saying I'm going to come on earlier. Okay, so this is the letter here. It says, and it's like, it says it's transcribed like the best of their ability, I think. So it says, Gabby, I wish I was right at your side. I wish I could be talking to you right now. And I just want to stop it right there and say, buddy, where you're going, you're not going to see her. I'd be going through every memory we made, getting more excited for the future, but I don't like that. Lost our future. I can't live without you. I've lost every day we could have spent together, every holiday. I'll never get to play with, and it's ineligible again, probably like a niece or nephew. Never go hiking with TJ. I loved you more than anything. I can't bear to look at our photos, to recall great times, because it's why I cannot go on. When I close my eyes, I will think of laughing on the roof of the van, falling asleep to the sight of ineligible at the Crystal Geyser. I will always love you. If you were reading Gab's journal, looking at the photos from our life together, flipping through old cards, you wouldn't want to live a day without her. Knowing that every day you'll wake up without her, you wouldn't want to wake up. I'm sorry to everyone this will affect. Gabby was the love of my life, but I know, adored by many. I'm so very sorry to her family because I love them. No, you don't. I'd consider her younger siblings my best friends. No, you don't. I am sorry to my family. No, you're not. This is a shock to them as well. A terrible grief. Probably was a shock. They loved as much, if not more than me, a new daughter to my mother, an aunt to my nephews. Please do not make this harder for them. This occurred as an unexpected tragedy. Rushing back to our car, trying to cross the streams of ineligible before it got too dark to see, too cold. I hear a splash and a scream. I could barely see. I couldn't find her for a moment, shouted her name. I found her breathing heavily, gasping, ineligible. I can't read it. She was freezing cold. The blazing hot national parks in Utah. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. She was freezing cold, and this is the blazing hot national parks in Utah. The temperature had dropped to freezing, and she was soaking wet. I carried her as far as I could from the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted, and shocked when I can't read, and I knew I couldn't safely carry her. I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat. She was so thin, had already been freezing too long. I couldn't at the time realize that I shouldn't start a fire first, but I wanted to get her out of the cold back to the car. From where I started the fire, I had no idea how far the car might be, only knew it was across the creek. When I pulled Gabby out of the water, she couldn't tell me what hurt. Okay, so I'm gonna read that again. When I pulled Gabby out of the water, she couldn't tell me what hurt. She had a small bump on her forehead that eventually got larger. Her feet hurt, her wrist hurt, but she was freezing, shaking violently. While carrying her, she continually made sounds of pain. Lying next to her, she said, gasping between violent shakes, gasping in pain, begging for an end to her pain. She would fall asleep, and I would shake her awake, fearing she shouldn't close her eyes if she had a concussion. She would wake in pain, start her whole painful cycle again, furious that I was the one waking her. She wouldn't let me try to cross the creek, thought like me that the fire would go out in her sleep and she would freeze. I don't know the extent of Gabby's injuries, only that she was in extreme pain. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that it was what she wanted, but I can see now all the mistakes I made. I panicked. I was in shock. But from the moment I decided I took away her pain, I knew I couldn't go on without her. Wow. That's a story. That's a story. Not one I'm not one I'm believing. Like, and obviously he knew no one was going to believe that because he unalived himself. You know what I mean? He didn't go with that story. You know, he wasn't unaliving himself so that he could be with Gabby. I mean, we all know that. He was unaliving himself because he was caught. The dude was done. And if the judicial system didn't take care of him, there was a lot of people outside that were. There was a lot. There was a lot of people that hated that man. Like I think she was the first person to ever get like 1 billion views on TikTok or something like that. It was insanity when this case happened, like first happened. It's tragic. It really is. It says here, I rushed home to spend any time I had left with my family. I wanted to drive north and let James or TJ kill me, but I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake, even though I'm sure they would have liked to. I am ending my life not because of fear of punishment, but rather because I cannot stand to live another day without her. Now we're going to vice versa that. That's what he meant. I've lost our whole future together, every moment we could have shared. I'm sorry for everyone's loss. Please do not make life harder for my family. They lost a son and daughter. The most wonderful girl in the world, Gabby, I'm sorry. I have killed myself by this creek in the hopes that animals may tear me apart, that it may make some of her family happy. Please pick up all of my things. Gabby hated people who litter. After the notebook contents were released by the Laundrie family's attorney, an attorney for Gabby Petito's parents released the following statement. And I think he probably released it because, I don't know, he just is trying to save grace or something. It says, I am shocked that within 30 minutes of the time we left the FBI office, the notebook was released. Neither myself nor Joe Petito or Nicole Schmidt released that from the notebook. Can you imagine reading that as a parent too? hearing that, man. Yeah, who cares if she didn't want to cross? If she didn't want you to cross the creek, you cross the creek with her anyway, bud. What do you mean you were stumbling? You couldn't carry her? She's 98 pounds. Come on now. I'm a good, I don't know, 145, maybe like 140, 145. And Vincent is like, I don't know, under 200. And he could carry me all day if I needed him to. He really would. He would. I mean, if push came to shove and I needed him, he would be like, okay, let's do it. How are we going to, you want me to carry it this way or on my back or, He was a wimp. Yeah, Pickle Me Elmo. How are you, by the way? I haven't seen you in a while. Pickle Me Elmo comes out of nowhere. He was a wimp. Very much so. Very much so. See, and she would have learned that. She was just so young. I think that over time she would have realized, and maybe she did realize. Maybe that night she was realizing it. But he is. Whew. So basically, that's the news that's out. Brian told his parents that Gabby was gone, and what was described as a frantic call that took place weeks before her remains were discovered. And that's was filed, by Gabby Petito's parents on November 30th in a civil complaint. And they're suing. It says they're claiming they intentionally withheld information about 22-year-old Gabby Petito's death, causing them pain and emotional distress. Yes, sirree. I mean, I don't even understand how they would even lose that. For every single minute or second, every second that they felt any pain, they should be reimbursed for that. Because those two knew. Man, the ghetto-ness about came out of me. I about cursed that about them, but nothing gets me started like DV or kids, domestic violence or kids. It really gets me going. Brian's mommy and daddy still wiped his ass. Yeah, and it shows through his actions. Yep, you're right, Ashley. It really does. It really does. Hey, Paige, how are you doing? I was kind of near you today. It's very passive aggressive. Very passive aggressive. I hope her parents get every dime too. Waiting for the money 40 years. Yeah, I would. That's what I think her parents would like nothing more. For them to have to send a check once a month. And you know what I mean? Just like a physical check. You can't automatically withdraw it out of your checking account because that's what you want. You want them to physically have to write out her name in the memo you want it to say, and the judge can order it, put in the memo, like for Gabby or something. You know what I mean? To where they have to remember her every time on that, like once a month. That's what I would do if I was a judge. But let me get Nancy up here because Nancy's on one, Look at her face. She's got a good face tonight. By the way, Nancy's daughter got her driver's license today. If she passed, I don't know if she passed or not. But I saw it on her Twitter and I was like, oh, look at that. I had to drive today and I don't like driving. So I had to get Botox, but I've got like a bump on my head now. And I've never had one there. So I'm like, how about that? But enough about me, So we'll play this Nancy. She talks to Joseph Scott Morgan, and I will be in the chat with you guys. If you guys don't mind just hitting the like button, I'm going to throw the channel membership link in the chat if anyone wants to join our membership. And if you're watching on a replay, always hashtag replay so I know you guys are watching. So let me see here. I wonder how much Brian's family has. How much they're worth. Wonder.
Real? According to sources, the FBI finally reveals that Brian Laundrie admitted to murdering Gabby Petito in a notebook. And not only that, a bombshell. Did Brian Laundrie tell his parents that Gabby was dead? And yet they continued to pretend to Gabby Petito's family that they didn't know where she was, not answering phone calls, not telling them the truth, while her body decomposed and dispersed, camping out in the wilderness. Is this real? Well, according to the Petito family and their lawyers, it's very real. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Crime Stories and on Sirius XM 111. Let's just take it back to the beginning when Gabby Petito was beaten by Brian Laundrie, and there were multiple witnesses that saw it happening literally on Main Street. Yet somehow she was deemed the aggressor, was let go by Moab police, and ends up dead and decomposing. I want you to hear, let's just start with the Moab Police Department body cam footage.
I was just apologizing, but I guess I said it in a mean tone, and he got really frustrated with me, and he locked me out of the car and told me to go take a breather, but I didn't want to take a breather because I wanted to get going. We're out of water. So
it kind of made you more upset.
Yeah,
it didn't help calm you. It made you more upset.
Yeah. And
so then what happened?
And so our goal was to come here and come refill our water.
Are you guys living out of the van right now on travels?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, Gabby Petito had set off with her then boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, now we know her killer, on a cross-country trip in her Ford Transit that she had restored using her credit cards. And let me understand this with me an all-star panel, but first to Melissa Ratliff, ABC 7 Sarasota's digital content manager and journalist. Melissa, thank you for being with us. Let me understand this. So she gets beaten in the face. Two witnesses see it, and she's saying, I was apologizing, but I guess I apologized in a mean tone. Did I hear that right?
You did. We were all kind of stunned when we watched this footage together at the newsroom. We got an open records request and got it from the Moab Police Department. And what we saw, even though it was said that Brian had marks on him, was Gabby was utterly terrified. And we watched her. She was shaking. She was apologizing as though it were her fault. And ultimately, that's kind of what it seemed Moab landed on, although there were no charges pressed. So what we saw was a terrified young woman, and what we saw were the cops sending her off with who would eventually be her killer. And it was absolutely devastating to watch, and knowing that we couldn't reach through the screen to help her.
I mean, Karen Stark joining me, a renowned psychologist, TV, radio trauma expert. You can find her at KarenStark.com, Karen with a C if you try to find her. Karen, I actually feel sick inside having represented so many battered women, taken their calls on the battered women hotline. And I hear Gabby Petito apologizing and saying, and I quote, I guess I apologized in a mean tone and it frustrated him even more. What? She just got beaten in the face and nobody did a damn thing about it.
And Nancy, it's so
That's what they do, though. That's what people in abusive relationships do. I mean, anybody that saw that video that's been near a DV situation, they all knew what they were watching. As soon as she opened her mouth and she spoke in her, she sounded like a little mouse. Remember, she was just like, you could barely hear her talking. And she was just like, yeah, very, very introverted. And, and not normally would she be like that because obviously, I don't know, I'm an introvert and I'm on YouTube. But, I think she was more extroverted than me. But I think that she was being more introverted and more reserved because she was with officers and she had just gotten punched. And maybe more. She had marks all over her face and arm.
Symptomatic of someone who's been abused, where they are terrified of not being in the relationship. They've become convinced that they're not worthwhile, that they're causing all the problems. Could not be more typical and heartbreaking, because she said it in a mean tone. I could just hear him saying to her, well, that's not an apology. It's in a mean tone. And always the threat of losing the person who she's become convinced she must have in her life.
Instead of projecting what I think about it, let me have you listen to it. Listen to more.
I told him to drive and get water because I'm getting thirsty.
Yeah. Is there something on your cheek here? Looks like did you get hit in the face? Kind of looks like something like hit you in the face. And then over on your arm, shoulder, right here. That's new, huh? It's kind of a new mark.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Can I see the other side of your face? So, what happened here and here?
So the cops actually see marks on her face, on both sides of her face, and on her arm. Let's hear some more.
So there's two people that came to us and told us that they saw him hit you. There's two people saying that they saw him punch you. We're just independent witnesses by Moonflower.
So two people see Brian Laundrie punching her in the face. And she says, well, I definitely started it. I slapped him. But
I'm just going to say this. For people to go and to get into someone else's business, I mean, I'm putting my hands up like Nancy. This is just me anyway. I mean, and I'm pretty nosy. But if it would take a lot for me to be like, okay, I'm going to insert myself into that situation and call the law, so he must have been, I think he was on her. I think that he was like on her good. For two different people to call the police, because normally when things happen, a lot of times people just, they see something happening, they're just kind of like, not dealing with that. But I think he was really hurting her. The injuries are so visible. They're so visible. And like, I mean, they're already visible like that. They're coming up red, dark. I mean, man.
Isn't it true, Melissa Ratliff? That's when he locked her out of her own van and was going to take off without her. And she had to try to get in through the window of her own transit.
Yeah, there was a struggle over being locked out of the vehicle. And at which point they were eventually separated when Moab police arrived on scene.
I mean, I'm so angry. I'm so angry, Melissa. This is her transit. She's out in the middle of nowhere. I don't think she had her phone. I think her phone was in the car. She had nothing, no ID, no credit cards, no phone. And he's taking off in her car and leaving her out in the middle of nowhere. She's trying to jump in the window and somehow she's the bad person.
And she's this little girl. She's a little girl, and she's saying she slapped him. Like that means anything at all?
Melissa, is that what happened?
That is what the police report seems to indicate, that there was a shuffle of getting in and out of the vehicle. They were driving when they were pulled over, but prior to that, there had been a lot of shuffling. And we know we saw the footage of them in the store prior to. They seemed okay at the store, but there was just so much tension. And I don't know how it wasn't obvious from Gabby's body language and how she was shaking. And the marks were very visible. So it felt like she was taking the brunt of his anger and putting the blame on herself. And it's just heartbreaking to watch because she just gets sent off.
You're giving me so many flashbacks, Melissa Ratliff. Melissa joining us from ABC7 Sarasota's digital content. She's the manager and also investigative journalist. I've got an all-star panel. I'm going to try to get to them right now, but I just want to say that this is giving me so many flashbacks. Domestic violence victims are represented in court, and women I would speak to on the Battered Women's Center hotline when I manned that somehow they always thought it was their fault. Like one woman was beaten so badly, and this one really sticks out in my mind. She was in intensive care, and there's always a quote reason. And for those of you who can't see me, I'm doing air quotes for the beating. And this time her husband called and said he wanted Mexican food for dinner, and she made tacos instead of enchilada. So he beat her into the ICU. Yeah. And she actually thought it was her fault because she made the tacos and not the enchiladas, or vice versa. But I hear Gabby Petito going, well, I guess I apologized in a mean tone. So, you know what? I'm going to get to whether or not his parents knew she was dead, and did they lie about it to Gabby's parents, knowing her body was decomposing somewhere. But one last time, take a listen to more of the Moab police body cam footage.
Made it clear that she was the primary aggressor and that she was striking you and that you received injuries. You haven't admitted to striking her. She has not admitted to you striking her. The witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault. Now, I don't want to take this small 20, what is she?
Yes, 22-year-old
female in jail. You could definitely defend yourself against, but at the same time, tomorrow, if you want to, it's up to you. You can
go to jail.
You can't, because we don't have a charge for you. Now tomorrow, if you wanted to get with her again tomorrow,
I'm gonna take your radio.
If you wanted.
Did I hear laughing at the end of that? I did. Okay. Patrick Riley joining me, high profile lawyer representing the dad, Joseph Petito, and the mom, Nicole Schmidt, with Snyder and Riley trial lawyers. You can find them at snyderandriley.com. Patrick Riley, did you hear that? They actually said to Brian Laundrie, the murderer, they say to him, you, and I quote, you have done nothing wrong. You're the victim.
I did hear that, Nancy, and in the past I have represented victims of domestic violence as well. And it's the story sounds eerily similar to things I've heard in the past. And you always hear the story, well, I wish something had been done and we should step in because we want to prevent future harm. And this is the perfect example of why there needs to be proper education and training of law enforcement to step in at times like this, recognize the danger involved and who the true victim is, and take action.
You know, also with me, Bill Garcia, licensed private investigator at Bill Garcia Investigative Services, and renowned professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet, host of Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. Joe Scott Morgan joining me. Joe Scott, did you hear at the end where the cop is saying, hey, tomorrow you can pick her up if you want to, if you want her back? And they all start laughing, ha, 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 ha. Joe Scott, tell me about Gabby Petito's murder and how her body was found, what condition in which it was found.
The setting is the Grand Tetons National Park, and it's this beautiful, beautiful yet very isolated location in Wyoming, Nancy. Arguably, by some, one of the most beautiful, federal parks in the U.S. Everywhere you look is just this is grandeur. And
can I tell you something, Joe Scott?
Yeah, sure.
My parents had their, I think, 50th wedding anniversary. We all flew out there. And this is before I had the twins. And I got off the plane. I was coming from New York, LaGuardia. I flew out there. I got off the plane and I looked up and I went, oh, it literally, I gasped. It was so beautiful. I'd never seen anything like it before.
Yeah, it just seems like it goes on and on forever. What a contrast between there and Manhattan. But it goes to the isolation of it. This location where, this poor, fragile young woman's remains were found. And Nancy, the thing that's so haunting to me about it, having covered this case now, these many months and years now, is the fact that she was out there. Her mortal remains were out there all alone. And, I sit back and I think about, was there a plan all along to take her to this location and dispose of her in this manner? What was going on? She didn't have the opportunity to appreciate the beauty out there. All she saw was the terror and the fact that she's with an individual that has obviously abused her over probably a protracted period of time. You've got these marks that were visible on her body at when she's first assessed by the police there, and she's so diminutive, Nancy. I mean, she's very fragile. She reminds me of my daughter, who approximates her age. Looks a lot like her, very thin, willowy, beautiful, very gentle. And she's at the hands of this guy, and they're riding around in her own van. And you find her remains all these months later, all these weeks later, Nancy, after he's done this deed to her at this point in time. And yeah, she's decomposing out there. Let's say it like it is. You're talking days upon days upon days that her body is left out there in this literal wilderness.
When you say decomposing, as a matter of fact, Brian Laundrie had murdered Gabby and left her body out there to be torn apart by animals. When we say they were in dispersed camping, for our family's very big campers, RVers, outdoor people, dispersed camping, there's no porta potty, there's no electric hookup, there's no water faucet, nothing. You are out with the animals, and there's nobody and nothing, as far as the eye can see, remotely akin to civilization. That was where her body was, Joe Scott, and it was, in fact, torn apart by animals.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. He discarded her rather, like garbage. That's the way he treated her in this location after. And let's keep in mind about the cause of death that was rendered by the coroner. By the way, the coroner did a fantastic job in this area of isolation and how they handled this case. He wrapped his hands around her neck, her very thin, dainty neck, and squeezed the life out of her, Nancy. And I have very few doubts in my mind that he's looking her in the eye as he's doing this. And he is literally squeezing the life out of her till the point she can no longer breathe, and she just gives way and dies right there in his hands.
And now we learn that all along, while his parents were fending off calls from Gabby's family, desperate to find out where is Gabby, they knew. Take a listen to our friends at crimeonline.com.
2 days after he is believed to have killed his fiancée, Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie makes a frantic call to his parents on August 29th, 2021. In this call, Laundrie tells his parents, Chris and Roberta Laundrie, that Gabby is gone and he needs a lawyer. During depositions for the upcoming civil trial between the Petitos and Laundries, Brian Laundrie's parents admitted what their son told them in the days after killing his 22-year-old fiancée in August of 2021. According to Petito family attorney Pat Riley, Chris and Roberta Laundrie did not admit to knowing Gabby was killed, only that they were told by Brian that she was gone.
And joining me right now, in addition to Bill Garcia, private investigator, Patrick Riley, the lawyer for the Petito family. Patrick Riley, this is really reverberating with me. When my fiance was murdered, I was in school in a statistics exam. I walked across campus. I didn't have a cell phone. I stopped at a payphone to call my job, which was the university library, to tell them I was on foot and I was going to be about 10 minutes late. And they said, call Keith's sister. Well, I knew right then that something was very wrong. But when I called Keith's sister, I said, is Keith gone? And she said, yes. And I dropped the phone and I knew he was dead. Explain to me, in what world, when you say Gabby's gone and you're driving home in her Ford Transit using her cell phone, how could they not know Gabby?
And her credit cards, her debit cards.
Well, Nancy, first, I'm sorry for that experience that you went through. I'm sure this sounds horrifyingly similar. I don't know how he could do that, and I don't know how the the parents, with a straight face as they did, could say that she was gone, but refused to acknowledge that they knew that she was no longer living. And in court proceedings, when we have had a conversation about that statement made by Attorney Bertolino.
Yeah, that just made me think of something. If you guys, okay, if your child came home, or called you and said that their boyfriend or girlfriend was gone, wouldn't your first question back to them would be, gone where? Surely it wouldn't be, let me get you a lawyer. Surely it wouldn't be that. You'd be like, where are they gone off to? And then if they said it again, well, they're just gone. I need help. They're gone. You would force your child to tell you what they meant by gone. You'd be like, gone around the corner, gone to the supermarket. Is she gone, never coming back, gone for a couple weeks? I don't have children, but I know if I did, I'd be asked. That'd be my first question. Gone where? Where'd you go? Where's she at? You have her van, sir. You have her vehicle. She's not going to go anywhere. You could tell by looking at her, she's not just going to go hitch a ride with Tommy from Wyoming. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to happen. And leave her whole life that was in that van with you. Why would she do that? She should have just kicked your ass to the curb. She should have. Man, I wish she would have kicked him to the curb.
September 14th of 2021, where he said that there was a search in the Grand Teton National Park for Gabby. We hope the search is successful and this family is reunited. They had the audacity to argue that reunited could mean reunited with her remains. And candidly, I remember thinking to myself at that time, I hope they say that to a jury.
Could you Could you explain that one more time? I just want to make sure I understood that correctly.
Sure. The statement that was made on September 14th by Attorney Stephen Bertolino on behalf of himself and the Laundrie family was that they understand that there was a search going on in Grand Teton National Park for Gabby. They hope that the search is successful and that she is reunited with her family. And my argument is, well, isn't that giving false hope to the family, saying that they're hoping that she's reunited with the family? It's going to be a big, happy occasion. And their response is, well, it could also have meant that they were reunited with her remains, just like soldiers' remains are reunited with their family when they come home from war.
Okay, I've never heard of soldiers' remains being reunited with the family. I've heard of families taking possession of the soldiers' remains, but not reunited. I mean, Bill Garcia with me, licensed PI at Bill Garcia Investigative Services. What does that mean to you? Reunited with her family?
To me, it would be an attempt to try and calm things and give unwanted response to the family, knowing what they knew at the time, and they were hoping to, make it seem better than what they knew it was. And so I think it was simply an excuse to pretend that everything was going to be fine and that Gabby would be reunited with his family.
Well, what's curious, Melissa Ratliff joining me, ABC 7, Sarasota. Wouldn't they have expected at some point we all find out that Gabby is dead, that Gabby was killed? I mean, didn't Brian Laundrie tell his parents, I need a lawyer?
There was so much vagueness, if I can use that term, in those initial days. I was here from the day one when we still thought Brian Laundrie, that where Northport Police knew where Brian Laundrie was. So we were watching this, and every press release I noticed came out with these very, very vague, sort of flowery, we hope this will all be all right. But then, later on, as we continued to follow it and we got the full story, it became very clear it was very enigmatic, trying to keep it very, very vague. And I feel it's hard not to assume that that's for a reason. And it felt like everything was done just to confound these terms, to be obtuse so that it would be confusing for everyone involved. And that was just heartbreaking to watch, especially when we saw Nicole Schmidt and Joseph Petito come to Northport to try to get answers. And it was just met with this obtuse silence and vague language that we had to keep watching and trying to decipher until we got what we got from Brian's notes later on, which I'm still torn up about that because it still was putting the blame back on Gabby.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when we got the suicide confession that was found with Brian's remains, he went into it felt like he was putting in great effort to put it as Gabby was asking for me to make this a mercy killing on her. She was hurt. I did this. And by my death, I'm making up for it. That's not the exact, that's definitely a paraphrase, but it was very much putting the blame back on her. And it felt very, very reminiscent of the Moab stop to me, that this was still kind of in some ways her fault. And that he hoped his death, where he would be eaten by animals like Gabby, would bring some peace. But there's no peace because there's still so much confusion and we aren't getting answers. The deposition was the first time we've had any acknowledgement from Roberta and Chris Laundrie that they even had an inkling of what happened.
So in his notebook, he says Gabby Petito wanted to die and wanted him to do a mercy killing.
He was saying she was suffering and she begged him to kill her.
Okay, I guess she begged him to beat her in the face too. So after killing Gabby Petito, Patrick Riley, Brian Laundrie called home. He says, at least this is what they're admitting to, that Gabby is gone and I need a lawyer. Isn't it true that Gabby Petito's family says Brian Laundrie's parents admit what their son told them, and within days, they hire a lawyer for their son, Steve Bertolino? Isn't that true?
That is absolutely correct. I don't recall if it was on the 29th of August or if it was the next day that they called, but they immediately contacted Attorney Bertolino on behalf of their son. And Attorney Bertolino took over from that point, advised everyone to remain silent and say nothing. And so they all remained quiet except for Attorney Bertolino until the 14th when they issued that statement.
Issued a statement about reunification?
Correct. They chose not to speak up prior to that. They chose to say nothing prior to that and leave the Petito family hanging, wondering where their daughter was. And then they chose to express, I would regard as false sympathy, giving false hope to the family. It's horrendous conduct.
Guys, we are talking about a specter looming over the murder of an innocent young girl, Gabby Petito. That specter. Did her killer's parents know all along she was dead, as they fended off, ignored calls from her family begging for information, and then actually giving a statement that they hope she's found soon and that she is reunified with her family? I mean, Melissa Ratliff joining me, ABC 7 Sarasota. To what extent did the Laundries go to avoid the Petitos?
We do know that in addition to the avoiding of phone calls, that I believe it was Roberta who blocked Nicole on Facebook. So there was a lot of just locking down of social media. I think Brian deleted his account. There was just such quickness done to keep everyone out of being able to contact them. And thus, when the campaign started on social media to help find her, started reaching our newsroom very, very shortly after she was reported missing. We could not even get a hold of Roberta Laundrie or Christopher Laundrie. Our attempts to get in touch with them for clarification were constantly rebuffed, but also in the fact that they're just not speaking to the parents who came all the way down here to Northport to try to get answers when no one knew where Brian was, and they still had no clue where Gabby was, and they were begging, and still just silence, and making sure that they were holed up in their home, away from everyone, despite there being media outside. Everything was just quiet.
And then even going on a camping trip with the sister. Remember, they went on a camping trip. You want to tell me they didn't talk about where is Gabby on the camping trip? I mean, Patrick Riley, who was representing the Petito family, isn't it true that the Laundries actually blocked cell phones of the victims?
They blocked the cell phone. Roberta Laundrie blocked access to her cell phone by Nicole Schmidt. Nicole reached out to her by text message and on several occasions, and then subsequently discovered she'd been blocked.
Guys, take a listen to our cut 253.
The attorney for Gabby Petito's parents, Nicole Schmidt and Joe Petito, believe Brian Laundrie told his parents and lawyer more than what they will admit. So he's asking a court to compel attorney Steve Bertolino into revealing what Brian Laundrie told him in the days after he admits Gabby Petito is gone, but before Gabby Petito is listed as missing. Attorney Pat Riley tells WFLA that he wants to know what Brian Laundrie told Bertolino because he believes Laundrie admitted more. Riley also wants to know if attorney Bertolino knew where Gabby Petito's body was located.
Wow. Patrick Riley, you think they actually knew where Gabby's body was?
I do.
Well, really, how could they not? How could they not ask Brian Laundrie, where's her body?
Well, I don't know if the Laundries knew. I highly suspect attorney Bertolino did in his deposition. When we had a conversation about hiring a lawyer, he told me that he called several law firms out in Wyoming, and he also called the public defender's office in Jackson. And I asked, why did you call the public defender's office in Jackson of all the places in Wyoming? And he refused to answer the question. And
to you, Joe Scott Morgan, isn't that where the autopsy to which you were referring was conducted? Wasn't that the jurisdiction where her body was found?
Yes, it was, Nancy. And, to be perfectly honest, they did a fine job, and considering they also had an uphill climb with this, because you're talking about the remains of a young woman that have been down for a protracted period of time. And though it's in the Grand Tetons, it's still a warm environment. So decomposition would have sped up during that time of year. So yes.
So how could they tell, Joe Scott, if her body had been torn apart, starting to be torn apart by animals? She was in the midst of decomposing, this beautiful young girl. How could they tell she was strangled dead? She was asphyxiated.
They're dependent upon how intact the neck would have been. They would have been able to possibly appreciate what's referred to as little areas of hemorrhage in the soft tissues that remained.
You mean bruises?
Bruises, but it's a deep tissue hemorrhage because you're applying direct pressure, not you, the universal sense. And in this case, Brian Laundrie, by his own admission, applying direct pressure into these very soft, malleable areas, and you'll have these little areas of hemorrhage that are indwelling there. And of course, we look at the other structures within the neck, the cartilage that's in the area that we would commonly refer to as the windpipe, to see if it's intact, and also the hyoid bone, as everybody goes to. You look to see what the status of it is, if there's any hemorrhage around that particular area as well. So there are many things that we can look for. One of the things that you might have trouble finding in a case like this that we look for constantly in cases of oxygen deprivation, where you're being deprived of oxygen, are particular hemorrhages in the eyes. Sometimes that's very difficult to find in decomposing bodies.
And let me just
jump in,
if I might add, in addition to the trauma of the loss of Gabby and everything that they've gone through, there's a lasting memory in Jim Schmidt's mind, and that is that he had to identify by photograph Gabby's remains.
Question: did Brian Laundrie's parents instruct him to pretend Gabby was still alive? Take a listen to our 254 from Dave Mack.
In the aftermath of Gabby Petito's murder, the Petito family alleges that Brian Laundrie used Gabby's phone to send text messages to her family in an attempt to deceive them. Among the messages Brian Laundrie is believed to have sent is a text message to Gabby's mother, Nicole Schmidt, about Gabby's grandfather. In the text, he refers to Gabby's grandfather as Stan. Schmidt has stated Gabby never called her grandfather by his first name and that the text was highly suspicious.
To Patrick Riley, representing Gabby Petito's family, is there any allegation or thought process regarding the Laundries instructing him to send these fake texts?
I don't remember the timing of when those texts were sent. I believe one of them was sent around the time that on the 29th when he did contact his parents. I don't know if there were any instructions or there weren't, but
you thought Brian Laundrie came up with that all on his own?
Well, I don't know, but we haven't talked about the letter, Roberta Laundrie, that was discovered after Brian
the so-called burn letter. Let's talk about that. To Melissa Ratliff, ABC7, describe the so-called burn letter sent by Brian Laundrie's mother to him.
This letter, which eventually was released thanks to Mr. Riley, we got that letter. The Schmidt family helped make that public. And it was honestly a love letter in a sense, and said a mother telling her son that she would always be there for him. And, you know, that she would have a shovel available if ever he needed to hide a body, basically. Now, out of context, she says, Roberta Laundrie claims that this is just the Burn After Reading being their favorite book. That's also a movie. It's pretty popular, but in the context of everything that happened, it's just an incredibly bizarre ode from a mother to a son, and that was made public eventually. And we were all scratching our head like, when that came out, just because of the nature of the letter is a mother who will be there for her son no matter what he does.
Didn't she say, I'll show up with a shovel or help get rid of a body, something like that, and burn this letter after reading?
Yeah, and the burn after reading thing she said was because that was their favorite, a book they had read together.
What else did the letter say, Patrick Riley? Because that's pretty damning.
Well, it said three things that were interesting. One said something about if he hated her guts, she'd cut her guts out. There was if he needs help burying a body, she'll show up and bring a shovel. And if he goes to prison, I don't recall if it was a saw or a shiv, but she would bake a cake and put it in. And to me, that almost sounds like if the letter wasn't written after Gabby was murdered, it almost sounds like permission.
Whoa, when did the letter occur? Do we know?
No, it's undated.
Well, why would she be talking about burying a body and bringing him a knife in jail?
Her answer to that is that's, maybe poorly chosen words, but that's how she and her friends communicate.
Okay, I'd like to meet these friends. I really would. To Karen Stark joining us, and I think I need a shrink now more than ever. Karen Stark, jump in.
Well, I mean, yes, we understand that a mother cares about her son, but this is outrageous, Nancy, because she is not only offering to help him do something with this body, but she is making other parents suffer. She is keeping information from these two people who are desperate to know what happened to their daughter. And you think about, how could she not put herself in that place? There she is offering to help her son get a shovel, a shiv, whatever she's saying, and not think about the fact that these parents feel the same way, are really in pain about their daughter, and she is not coming through. It is just outrageous.
Guys, I want you to hear the crux of this lawsuit in our 255.
Gabby Petito's mother, Nicole Schmidt, and her father, Joe Petito, are suing Chris and Roberta Laundrie and their attorney, Steve Bertolino, for intentional infliction of emotional distress, claiming they were aware Gabby Petito was dead, but chose to do nothing other than release a statement expressing hope Gabby would be found. The civil trial has been postponed several times, but is scheduled to begin in May of 2024.
To Joe Scott Morgan, the dichotomy of while all this is happening, the fake text that Laundrie is sending, and I was just looking at the dates, the fake texts he sent from Gabby's phone. He left her body out in the wilderness to be destroyed and decomposed and eaten on by animals. He's sending these texts pretending to be her to her family on August 30. He speaks to his family, his mother and father, on August 29. The fake texts aren't the next day, August 30. He gets home on September 1, and they all go camping. Yeah. Isn't that right, Jackie? Isn't that right, Melissa Ratliff? They go out to a state park, and there's the sister, and there's Laundrie, and there's Roberta Laundrie, the mother and the father, and they go camping, right?
Yeah, if I recall correctly, yeah, they were all going out, and there seemed to be, if I recall from the sisters' interviews later, that there was just really no talk about anything. It was just sort of we're just going to go camping and try to forget about the world.
Forget about the dead body decomposing. The camping trip was September 6th through 8th. So they're there in tents and campers, and nobody talks about where's Gabby.
That doesn't sit right. It's like this, it all sits, it feels so intentionally ambiguous and buried in all these questions of this is not a normal response.
And so, Joe Scott Morgan, what is the condition of Gabby's body when they're all out toasting marshmallows over the campfire in Florida?
It's one of these circumstances where you wish that you could just grab them by their ear and drag them out to this location and have them stand over these remains. Many remains like this that I have unfortunately stood over in my career, and let them see what their little angel has done. Expose them to this degree of decomposition that her body would have been at this point when they're going out camping at this location there in southern Florida, to let them see insect activity, to let them see the activity of potential animals that are there, and also to see what was wrought at the hands of this petulant man-child that they've raised, just so that they can bear witness to it while this family is wringing their hands at home, holding out hope that their precious angel is going to come back home. And of course, she's not going to, but they're out recreating there on the Golden Shores in southern Florida.
How did he, and just think about how evil you must be to go camping with your family like nothing happened. I am sorry, but if something traumatic happens to you, you usually will have like some PTSD. So apparently this whole incident wasn't that traumatic for him because he's just going to go camping again with the fam. It's cool. Van life. Like, who does that? Who decides to go camping? Of all things, of all the things that you could do, let's go camping. Otto, the whole Laundrie family, they all are. I'm amazed.
To Patrick Riley representing the Petitos, what exactly does your lawsuit, the Petito family lawsuit, allege?
Well, it's an intentional infliction of emotional distress case is very limited. It's not like a typical tort of negligence or things of that nature. It's limited to a situation where someone has done something that's so outrageous that it causes emotional harm, and that they knew or should have known that the conduct they were undertaking or the things that they were saying were going to cause that harm or were likely to cause that harm. In this instance, the case is based upon Attorney Bertolino's statements of September 14th and September 19th of 2021. And the 14th, again, it was the statement where he said he hoped the family was reunited. And the result of that was the Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt and their spouses were going through conflicting emotions and thoughts about whether she's alive or she's not alive. They're hoping that she is. They're on either end of the spectrum. And this statement gave them hope, additional hope that she was alive, so that when they ultimately learned 5 days later that she was not, the fall was even bigger than it would have been because of the hope that had been increased. The statement on the 19th made by Attorney Bertolino, again on behalf of the Petito, of the Laundrie family, was, "The news is devastating," or words to that effect. Well, it wasn't news to them. They already knew.
And specifically, their statement that Bertolino read is, and I quote, "It is our hope that the search for Ms. Petito is successful and that Ms. Petito is reunited with her family." And according to your lawsuit, they knew she was dead and decomposing, as Joe Scott Morgan has described. Meanwhile, the day after his call to his parents, the Laundrie sent a text message. Laundrie sends a text message from Gabby's phone to her mother, claiming there's no cell service. And now Nicole Schmidt, her mother, interprets that text as an attempt to deceive her into believing Gabby Petito was still alive. Were the parents in league, trying to mislead the Petitos? To Bill Garcia, private eye, can we ever prove it?
I think that would be extremely difficult. Fortunately, technology is such that they're able to connect the dots and see at what point these texts and calls were made, where they were made from, and in what context, and hopefully can be all put together to be able to prove that Brian's family actually knew what was going on.
I think you're right, Bill Garcia. And to Melissa Ratliff joining us, ABC7 Sarasota's Digi-Content Manager. Melissa, I look at things in black and white. What can I prove to a jury? What is inadmissible? What's truth? What's I can't prove is truth, but I know it. I bet you if this were put to a jury, they would believe that the Laundrie family knew Gabby was dead and continued to avoid calls by the Petitos, put out this statement saying, wow, we hope they find her. We hope she's reunited with her parents, all the while knowing that Gabby was dead and that their son needed a criminal lawyer. And as Patrick Riley points out, it would be argued that they knew where her body was, because out of all the world, they looked into a public defender in Jackson where the body was found. Melissa Ratliff.
It's so infuriating to read this, because it does indeed feel like common sense, like this does not add up. What you're saying doesn't add up. The silence and being obtuse on purpose. And I wonder if it's just an attempt to hide behind maybe ambiguity, to try to protect we knew she was gone. We didn't know she was dead. And it feels like, I don't know, but I wonder if the technology will ultimately be the thing that helps put into place exactly what happened. If there's more we don't know about yet that they knew. And yeah, the coincidence alone of Bertolino calling, it is the same day. It's on the 29th after they get the phone call. They call Susan Bertolino, and then later he's making phone calls where the body is eventually located. It's very much, I don't know if I would say circumstantial, but you do wonder if there's more to support it that will make it more clear that everyone involved knew what was happening or not.
Patrick Riley, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it true that under the law, and this is read by judges every day to jurors as they instruct the jury as they go out for deliberation, that circumstantial evidence is to be regarded as strongly as direct evidence, such as DNA or a fingerprint or an eyewitness? It's no less valuable or powerful than direct evidence. Isn't that true?
That is absolutely correct, because in circumstances like this, you don't really have direct evidence. You don't have somebody observing everything that occurs here. And candidly, I've tried cases based on circumstantial evidence in the past. I don't think it's too difficult to connect the dots in this case to show that the Laundries absolutely knew that Gabby was deceased at the time that they had hired attorney Bertolino. Why else would he need to be hired? Why else would they need an attorney? And then made those statements. They knew at the time that was done. There's
And
no
let
doubt
me
in my mind.
reiterate that the Laundrie family insists they did not know Gabby was dead and they have done nothing wrong. We wait as justice unfolds. Goodbye, friend. Guys, thank you for watching Crime Online with Nancy Grace here on YouTube. To get the very
Sorry about that. I hate when they come on at the end because it's always louder for some reason. I knew that the parents knew. Cindy said, I knew the parents knew. Hi, Cindy. How are you? I don't know why they postponed it. They keep postponing things. Well, I think that I wonder now, I don't know how this works because their attorney was working, right? That for the laundry. Okay. The Laundrie's attorney, was he working for Brian first? Is it the same attorney? Because I don't know that. Because I'm wondering here what they can get if they can like charge the attorney with anything. I know there's like attorney-client privileges, but if I don't know, maybe there's a way to do that, to charge even the attorney for knowing. It's an open, active investigation, and you knew where she was. There has to be something that they could do. He's the family attorney. Okay, so he would be technically working for both Brian and. Okay. Oh, okay. I figured they were the same one. I just wasn't sure. Man, that's crazy. He should get disbarred. I mean, for real, that's the least. So Brian and his parents were both using them. Okay. Well, he's an awful attorney. He's awful. And Brian's parents are awful, but we already knew that. But they're just awful. Can you play that again? Alpine said. Sure. I've already heard it once today. Well, twice now. But I'm hoping that, Gabby can get some peace. I feel like this poor girl can't get no peace until all this is just said and done. I'm hoping that they have to pay the Gabby's parents. I'm hoping that they have to pay her parents a lot of money. And if it's not a lot of money, I hope they take it all in really small like sections. And they have them, like I said, write a check every month, even if it's for $5. I would want them to write a check too, take it out of my bank deposit. They have to physically write it. So they have to see what their son did. I mean, because that was their boy. I don't care if he was an adult or not. They grew him, they built him into the baby boy he was, the adult man, or adult boy, I guess you would call him. Technically he was adult age, but he did not act like one. And we saw that just in everything. So, Alpine, the chat always gets onto a different subject. It's usually trauma, pain, as we usually talk about at the end of the lives. It usually is, though. Speaking of which, you can even see it. Oh, look at that. Do you guys see that? It's a bump. It's like a black and blue. Oh my gosh, that's from the Botox today. Wow, you can see that. Wow. Normally it's like right in the middle. Like if I get any bump or redness or blood, it's just right in the middle. But that's like pretty bad. So yeah, that's my wound for today. And I got like a tooth bristle stuck in my tooth in the back, the one that got extracted. And I can't get it out. So all day today for an hour and 40 minutes, I was constantly just digging my hand in there because I was in the car driving and I couldn't stop to figure out what was going on. So I can't get it out. Whatever it is staying there till Wednesday. I thought I got it out today, but I didn't. So I'm having a day, I mean, that's actually not too bad. A little bump on the head and a little something in the gum. That's okay. I'm just reading your guys' comments. Hey, Olivia. You can get MS when you're young. Oh, Oh, yeah, of course. What's going on? You don't even have to tell us, Olivia. Never mind. Why I even ask? You don't got to tell us. Of course. Oh, I hope everything's okay. I mean, obviously not because you're asking us for prayers, but I hope everything works out. Good thing had me working on decorations again. Ashley, I showed Vincent the cardinal tree, and he said, well, damn, how many people has she lost? I'm like, no, it's not a bird for every person she lost. I said, I just love the tree. The whole tree is, that's what you put out. And it made me kind of laugh because he doesn't ever crack jokes like that. And I was like, our tree would be full pretty quick. You bruise from Botox, you get on your forehead. See, I usually don't bruise like that, but today it was kind of painful though. Yeah, prayers for Emma. I like her name. Ashley's laughing. I'm like, yeah, don't tell me what. I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? Don't tell me what's happening. No, don't tell me that because that's not what we want to hear. Oh gosh, I hope she's okay. She's not, but we love you here. She's not okay. Wonder what? Oh no. Well, I'm praying for you guys because I've been there. And you know what? You know what she needs is her mama. That's what she needs. And the nurses, because mama needs a break, What name are we here? What? Oh, Olivia. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are we going? Yeah, Olivia. My neurosurgeon actually doesn't test for nerve damage. I found that out the other day. I was like, can you let me know if what's going on here? I've got these nerve problems because I think it's from my accident. I think it's just so many cuts and tears all over that they don't know to class me in. And he was like, he's like, I'm not really brain surgeon guy. He's like, I'm more headache guy. And I was like, oh, okie dokie. Got you there. So he told me to go to the spine center. So that's where I'm going. I don't know when I'm going. I think I go next month. I'll take you guys with me when I go. Because my spine doctor, he retired. And so now I have a new one. I think it's in January. Yeah, the 10th. So I just want to go just to see what the nerve problems are. I mean, the spine is killing me, but that's another story. I want to know what's going on with the nerve damage. Prayers for everyone that needs them. Yes. Really? Is warm after 30 years? Wow, Cindy. Well, that's good news. Are they doing DNA or something testing? So they've been busting out the DNA testing on a lot of cases, and they've been closing them up. Oh no, I love my neurologist. I'll just go to the spine center. My neurologist is my only doctor that I have. That's my original crew from when I came in the hospital. I'm never going to let him leave me. He's my age. So, he's cool. And he's actually into true crime. So he may be in the chat tonight. Dr. Weber, if you're here, I've got a bruise on my head. I guess I'll know if he says something about it next time. But we'll talk true crime when I go in there. It's pretty entertaining because, it's nice. I think we scared one of the students, though. We were talking about Taylor Business a couple times ago when I went. And I think she was just what are they talking about? She's got fluid again. Oh my gosh. Wow. We're a bunch of broken people, aren't we, over here? Olivia, you brought your prayers, your needed prayers to the right group of people. You really did, because we know how to pray around here, and they work. These prayers work in this chat because hello, I'm proof about my teeth. Remember, I said pray for me. You guys all prayed for me, and it ended up coming out really well. It ended up happening. It's happening in my favor. And if you weren't here for the live the other day, I got a phone call right whenever we were getting ready to start the live, and they're going to do a root canal on this tooth that I thought they were going to have to extract. The only one that they're even talking about extracting. So they said, we're going to do a root canal, girl. We're going to try to fix you up first. I said, okay. Yes, of course. We always try to talk real talk. I think that the next, maybe the other channel will be more of like a trauma kind of channel too. Like a trauma fun channel. I don't know, you know, because we do all have a little bit of traumas. We do. And I think some people will find me from trauma because it's like my name. Because my name was, I made my name for my channel before true crime, but I was in true crime when I made it, if that makes sense. Like my channel was supposed to be for trauma, like trauma and grieving and things like that. So like if you go to like my homepage and you go like, you click oldest, my oldest video will pop up. And it's from like 2020. It's nothing to do with true crime. I'm talking about the pandemic. Like, and I'm just seeing how everybody's doing. I'm like, how are you guys doing? Because I'm locked in and I'm not doing it so hot. And it was just like, you know, all my videos are none of them are privated. They're all out there. Yeah. So people will know. Did you hear that? That was the dog getting comfortable on my pillows. I knocked on the wall. TitaniumBuilt 2024. That could be it. That could be it. Aries, that's a good name. Is that Vincent? No, I didn't. Okay. My watch went off. What was that? Let me see this for a second. Okay. Well, I'm going to jump off of here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Double check, make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you like the video, all that good stuff. YouTube's been weird lately. Like the numbers have been real weird. Like they're just, I don't know. They're good, but they're just weird. They're just something's funky. Like when I'm looking at other people's numbers, it's weird. Also, see, it does say I started my live 3 hours ago. That's so weird. We didn't start it 3 hours ago. We started it an hour and 48 minutes ago. I think it starts it from when you schedule it now. So I scheduled my live for tomorrow. It's over Chelsea Grimm. I've got a lot of new information to tell you guys about that case. And a lot of it I was keeping till I got the legal documents, but I've got some of them. And so we're just going to go with it. We're going to go. There's Janet. She said, I'm here. I'm just so quiet. Oh, it does? Okay. It says 3 hours ago on mine. Maybe it's a me problem. Are you guys seeing that on? Okay. So before I get off here, before you go, like, so when you go into a live, does it sometimes say like they've been live for a long time and they haven't? You've noticed the times way off? Okay. So it's not a me problem. Okay. I think that's a YouTube thing. It's weird. I don't like it. And so I know that everything will fix itself. It's just weird. I don't know. Like earlier, or the other day, it said that when I got off the live, I forget, it was like I only had like 100 views, but we had over 100 people in the chat. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. You know, the numbers aren't matching. So your show's 3 hours too. Okay. That's just weird. Okay. Well, thank you guys. It's very weird. I don't know. Things happen, but I figured I'd ask you guys because you guys are on the other side with me. Like I could see on the iPad, but I just didn't know if it was like if I needed to update something. So, okay. Well, I will see you guys all tomorrow. I already have the stream planned. So look at that. I haven't done that in a long time. Actually planned ahead. So I will see you guys all tomorrow for the live stream, and have a good evening, guys. And I'm praying for Emma, Olivia. We're praying for you guys, like both of you, because you're both going to need prayers. If you need anything at all, please reach out to me. My email is titaniumbuiltboo@gmail.com. If you don't, I think you have it, but just in case you don't have it, email me anytime, and I'll make sure that my phone volume is up. So good night, guys. I'll see you guys all tomorrow.